Good morning, good afternoon, happy Friday, LinkedIn friends, HubSpot Nation. It is time for another episode of Let's Build HubSpot Onboarding with Willem. Willem, we're in May already.
Yeah,
How
and
are
it's
you?
finally sunny and that sort of thing here in Ireland. So yeah, I'm doing pretty decent. How about yourself?
Awesome. I'm doing well, doing well. Nothing I love more than sharing news that I think is relevant and, is going to impact the audience that we talk to week in, week out, in ways that we've never imagined before. So, uh, Visa this week announced the ability to give your credit card to an AI agent and have it purchase things on your behalf. I've got a video that I'm going to share just to the right amount of context, I think, before we dive in to what that can mean.
Introducing Visa Intelligent Commerce, allowing AI to shop and buy. Add, smile, done. It's that simple. You're in control to make the final call. Or you set the limits and let it do the rest. New way to buy, same trusted, secure way to pay. Visa Intelligent Commerce. Use AI to buy.
Nice video and so many questions, right?
What's the first one that comes up for you? Well,
Okay, we should keep in mind that as part of my background, I used to work at PayPal. PayPal, I'm going to say, is pretty much a direct competitor. And because of that, I think about slightly different things likely than what people in the commerce space think about. And my first question is money. And that is not really a clear question, right? But it is like, okay, so how will this technically work? Because when we started, and I mean all of us, the whole e-commerce journey, a lot of the first e-shops went bankrupt because they didn't anticipate a 50% return rate on closing, which they then had to dispose of. So if I now can say to some bot like, yeah, well, I don't know how to prompt something, but you know what? I want something that goes on my head to listen to music. That's the risk, right? And my budget is a certain amount of money. How big is the chance that it will actually find me what I want?
right.
And
Um,
then I return it, and how does that work? And how does it actually select the whole bunch?
yeah. All good questions. There's another interview that we shared this morning on the Let's Build AI Skills show with George and Nico. That was I think the CEO of Visa talking about what's happening. And I think at the heart of it, it's an AI enabled credit card that,
Correct.
uh, has, let's say, trust guardrails in place so that, as a buyer, um, which I would have to imagine has to come with some like, if the AI bought something it wasn't supposed to, you can get your money back type thing. Also,
Yeah.
on the other side, as a seller, similar guardrails in place, um, which makes it a very interesting scenario, obviously. But as the order, let's say, comes in from the agent, they're going to have to see an AI enabled signature, like related to the payment that was made, right? the other things that got my attention, and to your point of how is it going to know like what to buy? He mentioned the ability of AI agents, to scour inventories across, the landscape, right? Well, it's only going to see inventories that people put up for display, right? So companies that don't have,
Correct.
shops, and this is somewhat gets into our conversation about the data model in HubSpot. But if the AI can't see that stuff, you're not going to be an option, right? But also on the user side, the ability to say, do not buy from that brand, only look at these brands, which is going to be coming from a place of emotion and like, how do I feel about those brands? Like, why would I give AI specific instructions not to go to certain brands, which likely I'm only gonna do that if I think there's a good chance it's going to include it, unless I say not to, which is where we get into like, all the social aspects of being a brand and how you make people feel, which is at the heart of the conversation, I think, of what HubSpot, like the whole role of HubSpot when you are using the whole thing is managing that just amazing customer experience, both internally and externally, to help your customers grow, to help your business grow, right? Now you have an AI agent buying journey to support,
Yeah,
right?
but
How does that change things?
there's one part that we skipped about the money is why does Visa make this right now? Are they doing it to benefit mankind? Are they doing it to make money? And if they're doing it to make money, which logically is the only reason, you will only find the products that you can pay for with Visa, which makes sense, that they take 3% commission off, roughly. If there is a better product that in a store where they had to give a bigger discount to the merchant and they only get like 1%, because yes, that does happen, will they then push the one where they make 3 times as much up in the results so that it will, how are we going to deal with that?
Right. I'd say like the probably simple but not necessarily effective answer is that when we see big companies doing this, like it must be because they have to, and some level to create a whole new like business plan basically to support what is happening from AI, because and that's where it's easy for them, or they can take routes like he said trust a bunch of times in his interview today, right? What we can do with AI right now is we like things like operator where it goes and does stuff. I'm sure there's people giving it their credit card information and saying like go click on that button, here's my when this screen comes up, here's my information, right? And that's where there's no protection on either side. So I think from a positive intention standpoint, either they're going to do it or somebody else is going to build the business that kind of protects people and enables that, right? Which they have to
Absolutely.
see. And that's kind of the thing, like they're forced into this spot. And also, once that a lot of what we talk about, all the time on the show is once the mindset shift, once you get there, like they are better resourced than anybody else to create this thing, right? They're out there, they're already in all the stores, you're already used to the logo, there's already some level of not necessarily trust, but like, oh yeah, that's Visa, like no reason for me to think about this any differently, right? And so I think that's from that perspective, I think that's another, for me, that's a green flag in terms of when we see the big companies doing this, like there should be no question about the importance of AI agents and what roles they're gonna like. Everybody's gonna be using them. Like, and the more that the consumer hears that from places like Visa, right? Which they just pull out their credit card and it has Visa on it, right? They don't think twice. They're like, okay, all right, I guess I better, because when you see that video I just showed, that's amazing. Like that looks like an amazing experience. I don't have to look at ads. I don't have to worry about getting emailed. Like, and that brings us to HubSpot's role, right?
Are
In
you
this,
first of all sure that you don't get email? Because how does something like that know what you're looking for? That may partially be like it is right now, where you have to type something in. But at one point, it will be that I sent you an email saying, "Ooh, I got new headphones." And all of a sudden, at your doorstep, you will find new headphones because you interacted with that somehow. And the agent thought that you would also really want new headphones.
right. So chat, I mean, we're already seeing in AI chat, like the buying options are coming up. That was Nico's video that he shared, where the only thing missing is the buy button, right?
Yeah,
And of course, Visa, that's where big companies do big company things and partner with other big companies to own what's happening. So I'm sure once Visa, proved themselves on some level that this is actually viable, and there's no other like up and comer, right? Then it's an agreement with OpenAI. It's an agreement with Claude, right?
correct.
Now all of a sudden, like here's like the buy settings, right next to all the other settings that were like right next to the image generator. Like, are we shopping in this chat or are we not? Right? Because if we're shopping, then we're engaging the Visa, infrastructure. I'm sure that's where, like, to your point, when Visa does it, now, like the PayPals of the world have to, get on board and develop something that supports that. Like every other,
I can
financial,
guarantee you that they're already working on something like this, just like Amazon is, as you probably are aware.
right?
And it's everybody is thinking about it, but there's also a fair bit of questioning like, okay, but how much do you want automated? What is the responsibility eventually? Because if I buy 10 pairs of headphones by just clicking something, I should be able to return them. If you would sell headphones and you can either sell that to some AI bot, or I go to your store and I ask for 20% discount. Do you know how much cost there is in a returned item? That is just mind-boggling. What kind of guarantee can people give that that won't happen too much? Can Visa or any platform guarantee that the return rate will be, let's for now say, be below 10%? What do you do? Do you want a pair of headphones that I already wore for a week and was like, yeah,
Right. And I think like Amazon has already kind of proven that the model is possible, and that's where I'm sure there's a bunch of opt-in
yeah,
things, opt in or opt out. Like you're gonna be a business, and this is where we get to this world where you're gonna have some people like find the human based businesses or the human badge or whatever it's gonna be, and those businesses are also saying, okay, AI agents cannot buy from us, right? Because we don't want to play that game, right? We're not set up to
and
do it. That's where again, uh,
but is that feasible long term?
for the business,
Yeah,
certainly not. Just like it's anybody who puts up an e-commerce layer and makes it easy for the people to self-serve. We talk about portal. This is where all the infrastructure, the HubSpot can help you do all this stuff, right? But it switches from focused on outreach emails. Like, are we sending marketing emails to AI agents? I sure as hell hope not. Like, I mean, we're
Yeah,
certainly going to have
we will at one
agents,
point.
right? We're going to have agents, searching. I mean, Claude's doing that for me already, looking at my inbox, telling me what's up, right? And I was very close this morning, if I would have had time, because I got the idea, because I clicked spam report on one email, and I was like, man, I should just have Claude look at this and like tell me what all the spam emails are, right? And then
Yeah.
I can easily go through and not think about it, right?
And I think that it will get one step further where you won't read 99.9% of your emails. And I'm going to also say that if you look at a website, it will at one point be that you are looking at a website that an AI read for you, that it refactored completely. It removed all the ads if that's okay. But then the question is, who pays the AI? Because somebody has to pay the AI. Right now, all the AIs seem kind of free or for a very limited amount of money that you can get it. But at the end of the day, AI is an hourly cost. So if you have something like Claude Coder, that's roughly on average €3, €4 or dollar an hour. If you have a true, I'm going to say right now, companion in that serves you the right content, who is paying that? If the shops are paying that, are you sure that whatever you see meets your preference? If you are paying that, can you really afford that? To have that 24/7? How much is there in there? And if I think about HubSpot to take it one step closer, what it really revolves around is HubSpot is mainly used for B2B. So there should be eventually a negotiation model. And I know, terrible wording. I'm still going to use it. But a negotiation model saying, ooh, hi, I'm this company. Who are you? And that your AI will say, hi, I'm this company and this is my profile. And that I'm going to say, I serve that amount of people with that profile. And I also serve this. And these are my unique qualifications for you. I should add that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then your AI will say, ooh, I will have a think about it. See you in a bit. Next.
Right. And that's
But
what we're talking about when we say thinking about the AI agent buying journey, right? You're going to have to serve it whether you want to or not. I mean, at least for most of the people and the way that they come to HubSpot where I want to grow the business, right? This will have to be a consideration, like as at least a growth path. You're either going to go down it or you're not. Like that's where sales and onboarding conversations start to relate to things, like that. Because if you want to serve an AI agent buying journey, like was talked about, do you have inventory numbers available? Do you even have like just information available? We talk about it as self-service for humans right now, like self-service portals or the ability to click favorite, or like, is this in stock right now? Even if it's even if it's $1 million piece of equipment, how long is it going to take to get it? Right.
yeah.
Having that information, if you have it up there, it enables an AI, like any asynchronous activity to happen versus not having it because it depends and I got to talk to a salesperson, right? Maybe the AI knows that that's the way it is in that industry and it's going to book some time, but is your salesperson enabled to talk to,
Your AI.
let's say email exchanges, right? Are we sending the same kind of emails? Like almost certainly not, right? If we
Nope.
know there's an AI on the other side, right? You better,
Hi, how are you doing? How's
you
the
better
weather
bullet,
on your side?
like
Yeah.
you better get right to the point, like bullet, like get rid of the emotion. I mean, a lot remains to be seen here, but we have to start thinking about it because this changes. Like we've created a human-based Like one of the things I love about HubSpot is a human-centric data model that is built around the contact record instead of opportunities in companies, like I believe everybody else's data model is, right? Now, what's interesting is you should not completely shift that, because as we engage with AI models, there's
Becomes
lots
more
of
and more human.
similarities to
Yeah.
human interaction, right? That's because it learned from us, folks.
Yeah, but
No.
not only that, it really tries to, if you have an AI and think about a kind of army of Chris clones right now, you pay them. You basically, I'm going to say, feed them. Yes, and I like to twist the words a little bit on that. So they work on your behalf. They will interact with whoever outside and say, well, you know what? Chris needs a new set of headphones. I know that he had these small earbuds before, and he really didn't like it. So what do you have? But then the question is, who do you actually as an AI bot? Because I kind of see AI bots the same as humans. It's just that for you, it's pretty easy to spin up 300 clones and send them all over the internet. But can you then visit every store? Even with 300 clones? What's the cost of that? What's the upkeep cost of 300 of your clones to scour every single store out there? So how will that work? And if you are looking for a new set of headphones, because yes, I like that example, and you can either pay $400 for it or get a better one at a better price. So let's for now say a slightly better one for $300, and you pay $1,200 for the AI to find you that one. I don't know. Is that really worth it? So where is the money coming from? Where is it going? And how will that work, for instance, with ads? Because if I just created my very first set of headphones and it's slightly better than anything out there for the same amount of money, which AI at this moment has ever heard of me?
None of them.
So how many what will I have in sales? If I don't have anything in sales, how will the AIs start hearing about me? And how does that exactly work?
I love it because it completely shuts off the fake route that we think is there, which is buying a bunch of ads and pretending most of the time. Where instead, most every business that gets it right understands it's one-to-one relationships. Get people to use your product. Get people to love your product. Get people to share that they love your product. And one
Yeah.
of those videos will mean more than almost any amount of ads on the other side to AI. And Marcus Sheridan had a great post this morning, right, about trying to game SEO in terms of AI, like people thinking that they can just pay a bunch of people to recommend to AI your brand or ask it specific questions where the only answer is going to be your brand. Like maybe it works one time, right? But what the response is, and I've asked AI very similar questions, and it gives you back what we already know. No, I'm going to trust trusted sources talking about your brand
Yeah.
instead of, that kind of stuff, like 3,000 hits that are the same. If anything, AI is much more effective at spotting that as spam immediately, right? So this whole, that's why it completely matters and why we're talking about this on HubSpot onboarding, right? The first step to HubSpot onboarding, is my opinion, is what is HubSpot doing for your business? And if it has been ads and marketing automation that is email based instead of social, like coming up with a bunch of great social tools now to get in there and engage in ways that we haven't been able to before and bring that information in. Guess what? It's not based on email addresses. So what does our contact record look like now? Right? That kind of stuff, we have to onboard people to what HubSpot's going to be doing for the business in order to build the right set of tools, the right data model, the right how are users going to be, using the system, right? And it's so hard not to get philosophical with this stuff. So I need to have you on the show with Nico or Singularity Soothsayers, where we can dig deep, because there are so many philosophical things that just come up. I mean, we're shifting, like we have to shift the mindset of how we go to market at every level, right? Because I mean, that is an app, obviously B2C that we saw, that's one click buy,
And
but
that's
it's
quite
not going to be different from one click quote. One
not
click.
maybe from one-click quote, but what you will have is that if, let's say, I have a business and I want to purchase something that's really expensive, then I'm going to say, oh, I have like 20 choices. I'm going to email all of them. And I'm saying I right now as a human, but let's say in a month's time, I am going to be AI. So that's still going to be me or clone me. I'm going to mail all 20 of them, and I will ask, how much is it? And can you give me a spec sheet of what exactly it does and what the benefits are? And then I get that back by email. And what do I do right now? I try to read it, the PDF and whatever it is. What do I do in a month's time? I will have my AI analyze it, compare all the benefits, and say, ooh, I didn't think about the benefit number 1, 2, and 3. You know what? I already made a selection that I have a top 4. I'm going to send all 4 of them an email. And again, in a month's time, this will be my AI. This will not even be me knowing that it sent an email, but it's still going to send an email. On the other side, an AI chatbot will pick that up, will read the email, which starts with, ooh, lovely weather, huh? And will think like, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm just going to write something similar back because that chatbot is going all wild, so might as well. And the chatbot will answer the questions. So what could potentially happen is that the amount of emails will just explode, because AI is so much more efficient in reading and sending out emails that.
Yeah. And we're already seeing that, right? Like email deliverability is being impacted because Google and Microsoft are getting bombarded, right? And all they can do is start to put the walls up, right? And yeah, hopefully this sends the message like and starts soon. And this is why we've been talking about it. Like we didn't necessarily know this was coming in this form, but if this is concerning for you, like the whole way that we talk about taking a step back, like if you just bought HubSpot and you've got to learn it and onboard now, like if you have not figured out how you're going to use it for the business, like whether AI agents or not, you have to figure that part out. How is your team going to interact with it? What are the expectations for everybody involved? If that's not a part of your onboarding, you are not ready for changes like this. Obviously, you've been one of the ones that end up with onboarding messes that we already hear about, and you don't get adoption and you don't get the value, right? So that's where the way that we've talked about it, setting expectations, understanding the role in the business. You're ready for this if you approach it from that perspective, right?
But also think about what data AI potentially would really like to have. I'm not going to say need, but would really like to have that you don't have right now. So maybe you want a little bit of a story behind every customer where reviews will become more important than ever. Because if some AI asks you, Chris, like, oh, who did you work with? Can you show me something?
Yep.
And it is in this specific industry and that and a whole list. Maybe your clone can just say, there you go. And by the way, I already sent them an email and got a reply back because we like high amounts of emails, so I can share this.
Yeah. It's a new world, folks. We're happy to help. We're here every week to help with this. If you missed last week, we talked about, the onboarding likely becoming as easy as plug into all the data and then start talking to the CRM, right? It was a fun conversation, and all this is rolled up. Like if we create this mechanism, this platform for AI agents to interact in the ways that we're talking about, but also for our reps to be able to verbally speak, like who's sending emails? Like at that point, like we start to innovate out the channels that no longer make sense because they don't support that conversational mechanism, right? That's why we see HubSpot allowing us to create contacts from social engagement, right? That was a first. I didn't even expect that one, right? But I love to see it because that kind of stuff, it hasn't been available because our KPIs are built around what we can do inside of a system and measure. And sales teams have not been able to easily measure time spent on LinkedIn, for example, right? So I've talked to many of them, and that means they just don't do it, even if they know their audience is there, even if they hear that engagement is better than just cold outbound, and right. So we're going to continue to see this kind of convergence of honestly the way that human beings want to buy, the way they want to sell, the way they want to communicate, right? So we're here to help you embrace that. We'll need to wrap for today. Any final thoughts, Willem?
For those who don't know, Chris is giving another show with Tango AI. Please consider looking at that because that will also be so interesting. And yeah, that may be the wrong thing to say, Chris, but yeah, I think that
Well,
will
that's
be
it.
really
I mean, all
valuable.
we can do is help you be aware. Nobody knows exactly where this stuff is going. Like everybody's just racing 1,000 miles an hour. But we know it's going somewhere, and we cannot just, sit back and hope for the best. We shouldn't do that. There's lots of things you can do to be ready. And I think the first thing is awareness. So in about 40 minutes, I am unboxing the Tango AI CRM admin product that just launched, which is going to be very interesting. And I'm excited to see it. And I think in a couple months, most admins will enjoy stuff like that being available because there's all sorts of tedious things that we hear from admins all the time that they wish would be better. And this is that path. So thank you for highlighting that. And until next week, my friend, thanks so much.
Well, next week.
Have a great
Bye.
weekend, everybody.